This is The Recap, a weekly reflection on the sermons of Fellowship Baptist Church in Maineville, Ohio, seeking to help you make Jesus essential in every aspect of your life. I'm your host, Ryan Land, and I'm here with the preacher of this week's sermon, Brent Wilson. Brent, welcome back.
Good to be back, Ryan.
I feel like I've got to really up the energy.
Oh, yeah. Why are we upping the energy?
Oh my gosh, not the volume, just the energy.
Yeah.
Because it's early in the morning.
Yeah.
Because we usually record this in the afternoon.
Well, I need you to up the energy because I played pickleball this morning and I got roasted by some old dudes.
Oh, dang. That stinks.
I mean, smoked.
Wow. Like, why? Like, why? What were they exploiting in you that...
Well, their serve is powerful, for one.
Yep.
And they just know how to place the ball and hit it hard. And I kept stepping in the kitchen. They kept calling. No one's ever called me on stepping in the kitchen. It's like, crap, I got to back up.
Yeah. No one's ever called you on. That's my favorite thing. I feel like my favorite rule of pickleball.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
So that's over the line a few times.
Brent, you know what we should do? We should try to figure out how to get in on this.
Okay.
We should be like pickleball commentators.
Oh, yeah. That'd be
Like-
pretty funny.
But I guess like tennis doesn't really have commentators. You know, like they just let them play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think pickleball, we could make it happen.
bring it, yeah.
That'd be so funny.
We'd be good at it, too.
Yeah. That was what I always wanted to do when you would play like your VR game that you had like a team for and you could like watch it online. There would always be commentators. And I was dang, I could do this.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
You've been better at it than they were.
Probably. My dad did live commentating, and I always sounded, anytime we talked about it, I was like, that sounds so fun. This is kind of like live commentating.
Yeah.
It's post game commentary.
Post game, yeah.
On the sermon.
I like that.
But I have an icebreaker question.
Okay, break this ice.
The ice shall be broken. So this week's sermon was about wrestling, about struggling, and like hopefully coming to some like greater understanding or comfort or something. What is there like a movie or a book or a show or something that, or like maybe even a specific episode of a show that like when it was over, the movie or where you finished the book, you just like really had to like sit in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like that's like you just really had to be like either like think about it, like what is that? What was going on? What did that mean? Or like emotionally, you were just like really like, oh, what?
Oh, I'll tell you the number one.
Okay.
Without a doubt. My first thought was Battlestar Galactica. Great ending.
The end?
Great ending.
Oh my gosh. You're just like
my second thought.
Literally, I mean, I wish the TV could have just gone black at the end of Battlestar Galactica, so I could have seen my own reflection. Just like I'm sure I was just like,
yeah, great ending.
if you're watching the video, you can see the face I just made.
Lost was my second thought.
Which one? Which episode?
No, the end.
Oh, I've never finished.
Oh, well, no, it's not good, but it makes you think. No, but I would say it is the end of The Mist.
Oh, if you don't know,
the most gut wrenching.
Oh my gosh,
heartbreaking. What the heck just happened?
No, that's true.
Like sitting there at the end, like what? And then you ask, what would I have done?
Yeah.
Would I like what should you? Oh, dude. And I don't want to spoil it. Go watch The Mist.
Yeah.
Great ending.
Or just go read the Wikipedia entry or whatever because it's kind of scary. So
yeah, a little bit.
That's a good. The Mist, a good end. Oh my gosh, it's so. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Man.
What about you?
Well, I have to say this. I am not endorsing that everyone go watch this movie. Okay? Like that's not what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
But there's a movie called, there's this TV show Twin Peaks, and then there was a prequel show, which the second or third to last episode of Twin Peaks, I remember just being like, maybe it's the series finale actually. I remember just being like, mouth open, like this is crazy. But then there's a prequel movie called Fire Walk With Me, and I could not stop thinking about parts of that movie for literal days after watching it. There are just like certain scenes and shots that are like stuck in my head, and it's very dark. It's like very depressing. Like it's very So I'm not saying go out and watch Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me,
but you had to wrestle with it.
but oh my gosh, like there's just and a lot of religious like symbolism and things like that. So I just remember I remember 2 days later I was taking a shower, and Darcy could tell she was like, "What are you thinking about?" And I was like, still Twin Peaks Firewalk with me. Because I just kept thinking I couldn't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm over it now.
Yeah.
But so, yeah,
Right.
that's always such a great feeling, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that's why sometimes I tell people, like, when they're like, I didn't get it. You know, it's like, I saw this movie or watched this. I didn't get it. I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to get it. It's not about getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it affect you?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Move you.
But whatever. We can move. I can talk about that for a long time. Let's talk about how do we want to agree on a way to say this?
Habakkuk?
Yeah.
Habakkuk.
What about Habakkuk? Like the Brits.
Brits are weird.
We fought a war to not say Habakkuk.
Sorry. We fought a war to have not the metric system.
Okay, Brent, before you talked about this briefly. We fought a war to not have the metric system.
Whatever you call our system.
That's so funny. That's what it's called. You talked about this briefly in your sermon, but this is some primo content for the podcast.
Okay.
Talk about like the name Habakkuk, like what it like.
Oh, what it is?
Yeah.
It's an Arcadian long word.
Which sounds fake. That sounds like from.
It does sound fake.
Sounds like it's from Lord of the Rings.
I just read it.
Sir Arcadian Longword.
Yeah.
You've welcome to Rohan.
Yeah. So I don't know much about that. I just read that, and so just talked about how we don't really know how to pronounce it because it's that, and yeah, we don't know.
Do we know like what it means?
I don't think so. No, I don't.
That's crazy.
I
I like that. So we just guessed. We're like, we don't know, so we're just gonna be like, yeah, get Habakkuk, I guess, Habakkuk, and then the American Revolution started.
How do you say that one book of the Bible that's about when Paul's telling the guy to like let a slave go? A little short New Testament book.
No, I know. I'm like blanking on how to say it. It starts with P.
Yeah.
Philemon.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Philemon.
Philemon.
Do people say that?
Yeah.
Philemon. Philemon. That sounds way more correct to me.
Yeah.
But Habakkuk and Habakkuk, I could go either way.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about. So I really liked the organization of this sermon. Okay. Of course, that's a little inside baseball for people, But I liked how it was kind of talking about this conversation going on, and then some application at the end. But let's start with kind of the conversation, the scenario that Habakkuk finds himself in. And what I want to do is like I want you to talk a little bit more about what is kind of going on. But then I also want you to help us think about the ways in which either situations around us or our response to those situations can be the same as Habakkuk. So like your first point, what Habakkuk saw, right? So Habakkuk was seeing something, and he was he has a particular reaction. And then, so I want to talk about, like, after we talk about what Habakkuk saw, what are similar things that we see or deal with that are analogous to what's going on in Habakkuk? So, but first, what's going on? What did Habakkuk see happening around him?
Yeah, Habakkuk is particularly looking at his own nation, right? So at this point in Israel's history, the kingdom has been split in two, right? So he's a prophet of Judah, the southern kingdom, and he just sees political, bribery and corruption. He sees increased taxes for pointless wars. He sees idols. Josiah was the king not too long ago, and he purged the land of idols, and now they're all back, and so they're worshiping Baal and Ashtaroth and all these things. He sees the poor oppressed and not cared for. Just injustice in general all over the place. And so he just sees all that sort of brokenness and is like, God, these are your people. These are your people from whom the Messiah will come. These are the people who are supposed to be a light to the nations. These are the people who are going to bless all nations in the earth. Are going to be blessed through these people. How is it like this? Why this should not be? And so his question is basically, God, why do you stand idly by while the law is paralyzed? Why do you do nothing while injustice reigns?
Okay. So then, that's super. Some of that, I'm like, I think people can already see some analogy. But what are some things that we might find ourselves in a similar situation to Habakkuk and see?
Well, I feel like all of our fighting today, particularly around political matters, which almost everything feels political, is around justice and whether or not someone sees something as an injustice. And so, when the poor are oppressed or exploited or used, that's a justice issue. And so we see that, I think we see, from our perspective, we would see abortion as this big injustice. We would see sex we talk about slavery being this bad thing in history. It's like there are more slaves now on the earth than ever before in history. And it seems like nobody cares. And so it's like sex trafficking, slavery is a huge issue. Political corruption, people lying in their pockets. I was talking to someone recently just about how they even saw on a local level things get done because people were coming and saying, "Hey, you just got in office. Here's a check. Just like just be ready to when I call." It's just like that happens here, and so just how corrupt things are, broken things are. You got anything else?
Well, I just think the other thing that I thought of during the sermon is, and you hit on this, like it being like Habakkuk's looking at Israel. I think for me is like I was, thinking about all the corruption and evil and cover up and whatever that we see in the church, right? It's like, you guys are supposed to be the light to the nations. You're supposed to be, and it's like, God, smiting time is now. Let's get going. It's like, when you see, pastors covering up or committing, sexual abuse, or it's like, hey, time to go. Get the lightning ready, And so I particularly am sensitive, I think, to that. And so when you were going through this on Sunday morning, that's kind of what I was thinking about. It was like looking at God's the hypocrisy of God's people. And using, even religious power, not even just political power, but like spiritual, abuse. And so that's kind of what I was thinking of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you go on to what Habakkuk did, how he responds to this. So what is Habakkuk looks and sees all this evil. What's he do?
Well, he doesn't run away. Is the first point. And he's not like, all right, God, I don't like this, I'm out. And that is it's important to say because that's a very common reaction. People experience suffering, experience pain, see injustice, see a pastor abuse someone or a pastor steal money or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I'm out." And just as a rebuttal to that, real quick, it's like, we don't do that when we see a doctor. Commitment. So
never going to the hospital.
Yeah,
again.
I'm done with the medical establishment. I'm not going to doctors anymore because this doctor did something bad. It's like, but
you should go to a better doctor.
Yeah, but that is the problem when Christians fail. It kind of represents all of us. And so Habakkuk doesn't run away.
Yeah,
but he goes to God in prayer and is asking hard questions. He's wrestling. He's saying, God, why do you stand idly by when injustice goes forth? Why is you're allowing the law to be paralyzed? And so he's willing to ask the hard questions and seek an answer.
Yeah. So. Dang, that's such a good verse, by the way. Why are you allowing the law to be paralyzed?
Yeah,
that's so good. Yeah, no, I think that's good. So what can we both learn to do like Habakkuk, and then also maybe what not to do from Habakkuk's response in terms of, viewing, maybe it's, bigger corruption, like on a more cultural scale, but even like evil just in like our personal lives, sin in our personal lives between, people, how does Habakkuk's response inform how we should respond?
Well, you don't run away, for one. I think we see a lot of running away, whether it's from the questions or interpersonal conflict or, this person did something that hurt me or offended me, and so I'm out. I'm leaving. That pastor said something I didn't like. I'm finding a new church.
One thing that's funny about that or that's interesting about that is, talk about. I was reading this thing about kind of like how the digital age has shaped our relationships, and how every relationship in a digital space is an easy in and an easy out. So you can like join the Facebook group or whatever, but then as soon as someone ticks you off, you can block them, you can leave the group. Same is true via text or
Oh yeah.
Like Snapchat or Instagram or whatever. It's like easy to follow someone, easy to get connected to someone. And then as soon as they say something you don't like, block them.
Yep.
Which I think at first, and sort of we saw is like, oh, that's good that you're able to block people, and it is. But what it's done to us is that we think, oh, our relationships in the real world should mimic. Yeah. And so then it's like, as soon as someone does something that we don't like, it's like we use just like the IRL block button, we're just like, I'm cutting them out.
Oh yeah. Someone was literally telling me about that this week, about how these people they were talking to were like, oh yeah, I don't need that in my life. I'm cutting them out of my life. I don't need that negativity. I'm cutting them out of my life. And it's like, they got a character flaw. I'm cutting them out. It's like, well, let's hope people don't treat you that way.
Or that God doesn't treat you that way.
Yeah. Because if people, I wouldn't have any friends. If every mistake I made, I got cut out, because we're all going to make mistakes and all those kinds of things. So, so I think you don't run away from conflict, from hard questions, from difficult answers, from uncomfortable situations. You got to press in.
So what does that mean? So you mentioned earlier, like a lot of our, kind of political, or a lot of our fights, feel, political. What does that mean to not run away? What does that mean in terms of, how we engage, the people or the world politically? What would you say?
Oh,
because here's why I'm asking the question. It's like, I think some people on one side would be like, well, I don't want to be political. I don't want to, and so I don't really want to, engage on that level or in that arena. But then some other people are like, let's go. I'm not running away. I'm going to post all my, all my opinions and tell everyone about all my opinions. And, and so it's like, I think we probably don't want either of those.
Yeah. There certainly seems to be a Tim Keller-esque third way, where it's not, I don't talk about that stuff. I don't think about that stuff. I don't address that stuff.
I'm not political.
Yeah. And it's also not being a jerk on Twitter or at Thanksgiving, and you got to make every minute issue the topic of discussion, and we got to talk about it. But there seems to be.
Let's talk about green energy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to eat cranberry sauce. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's like, what do you think about the Russia-Ukraine war? I don't know. And so it's like there's got to be a way that we can have healthy dialogue, and because Christians need to we don't need to be Amish, right? And retreat and like, well, we'll let the world do that thing. Like we're supposed to be salt and light, and we should be for the good of the city. I think about when here right after Habakkuk, they go into exile, and God tells them to work for the good of that city. And so that's what we should be doing. And so we should be advocating for good, just laws and good, just policy and good, just leaders and all those things. We just need to do it in such a way that is also seasoned with salt. That is, I think of Paul, he says, let no one, there's this great verse. It's like, let no one think that you're unreasonable. Yeah. Let no one, basically don't let anybody accuse you of being hot-headed and crazy. And so like that we approach in such a way that is disarming, and like we can talk about a really hard thing that would cause two other people to fight and break up as friends and run away from each other. And no, we can actually talk about it in a way that's helpful. And I think, Gavin Ortlund is really good at this. His Truth Unites. Yep. Truth Unites podcast. Recommend that. Go listen to that. He'll have, he had a Mormon on not too long ago, and they were having this discussion around, do Christians and Mormons believe in the same Jesus? And the Mormon obviously was arguing that they do. And Gavin was arguing that they don't. And in the most gentle, caring, loving, disarming sort of way, Gavin can look at this Mormon and say, I think you do not believe in my Jesus, and because of that, you're going to go to hell. Yeah. But he says
the Mormon straight up asks him, like, do you think I'm not saved or something? Yeah. And Gavin is able to, with the warmth of like a hug, be like, yeah, I think you're going to hell.
Yeah. And he doesn't have to yell at him, doesn't have to beat him down. And so it disarms him to where he can listen and hear it. We don't want to be like the guys on the side of the road when we go to the Bengals games that are just yelling at people about how they're going to go to hell. It's like, how do you know? I'm going to Bengals games. Does that mean I'm going to hell?
No, I'm not. Go to the Bengals game. Look, I don't know. Watching defense in the preseason, go to the Bengals season, go to the Bengals game might be comparable. Like,
Yeah. So yeah, we don't want to be like that. We've got to find this new creation sort of way of talking about it.
Yeah.
Things, and we should talk about them. But people, we should walk away from those conversations even disagreeing. Like, oh, cool. All right.
When I think one thing that's interesting is that Habakkuk probably could go to, a king or someone in Israel and take out all of his frustration and anger and whatever else he's feeling on them. But that's not what he does, and he actually turns to God and says, "You got to do something about this. You got to help me with this. You've got to." And so I think there's wisdom in that too. That it's like when we feel that, like I feel this, when we feel that like righteous indignation, that anger come up, it's like who do you take that out on? Do you ask God to intervene? Or do you like, well, I'm going to go tweet at this person. I'm going to go comment on this person's post or whatever.
I think the best example in the entire Bible of this is Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes to David.
Shout out Nathan.
Not our Nathan. But yeah, he goes to David and his sin over Bathsheba, and he tells him a story. And David is so riled up, and he's like, this man needs to be put to death or whatever he says. And Nathan's just like able to say, well, you're the man. And it's like, it clicks. Now, had Nathan gone to David and just been like, David, what are you thinking? You've committed adultery. David would have just kicked him out. Like, get out of here. He wouldn't have listened. But he approached in a way that was disarming. And he was shrewd. And so we should be shrewd.
Yeah, it's like Jesus saying you should be
gentle as doves
and wise as serpents, crafty as serpents. Yeah. Which I think is Jesus tells a super weird parable. I'm not even sure this is what it means, but it seems related about the manager of like the guy's estate who is like, hey, you got to be collecting on my debts. And the guy's like, I haven't been. He's like, well, I'm going to fire you. And so then he goes off and it collects like 80% of people's debt, and then he's like, hey, look, I did it. And the guy's like, good job. And I'm like, what the heck is this story about? And I do think a little bit it is about, being creative in your thinking, being shrewd, being, solution forward, that he didn't just throw his hands up and be like, well, I guess I'm fired. Yeah. And he didn't just go, ruin all the guy's accounts, because he knew he was about to be fired. He's like, no, I'm going to try to make the best. Yeah. But I don't know. That could all be wrong because that's a super weird parable.
Yeah. But also it's like the point is, while we're being shrewd doesn't mean we'll just say it from the background. I think about Jeremiah, who goes to Jeroboam the king, and he's like, God's going to bring judgment upon us if we don't change. And the king's like, all right, we will do whatever it takes. Whatever God requires of us, we will do. And Jeremiah's like, great. Here's what you have to do. Well, we're not going to do that. It's like, but he goes to the king to tell him, right, to confront him. And so it's like, we should be able to speak truth to power, right?
Well, it also makes me think of Nehemiah when, you've got kind of the group of people that are kind of like anti, Nehemiah's rebuilding project or whatever. And there's this great scene where he's building, he's got the sword in one hand, the hammer or whatever in the other. And they're down, like trying to talk to him. And they're trying to be like, come down here and blah, blah, blah. We got to talk. And he pretty much is like, no, I am done. Like figuring it out with y'all. I'm done hashing it out with y'all. I'm here to work. Yeah. And like, I'm doing what the Lord has called me to. Yeah. He's like, I don't have time for all this nonsense. Yeah. It's like we're just gonna do it, know?
Which is a different point, which is a great point to say. There are sometimes you need to not engage.
Oh yeah.
There are times to go. You know what? We beat this horse to death, and I'm just gonna go do the thing that God told me to do.
Yeah.
You got to know when to stop.
Yep. So that's how Habakkuk responds by calling to God. God, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna fix this? Please. Yeah. And then God responds. So you said what Habakkuk heard, what is Habakkuk? This is like the twist of twists. I love trying to imagine reading stuff for the first time. And it's like, this is an amazing one to do that with.
Yeah.
They're like, and then God responded. You're like, all right.
Yeah. And I love the first verse because it's God saying, I'm going to do something in your day that you could not imagine even if I told you.
You're like, let's go.
Like, all right,
Here
that
we
sounds
go.
good. That sounds good, God. And then, and he's like, I'm going to raise up the Chaldeans or the Babylonians, that wicked and hasty nation who devoured lands not their own. And who, and he gives all this description of how violent, evil, and ruthless and they are. And so they're just going to come take over everything. And
the record scratch of all
yeah.
What?
And I just want to see Habakkuk's face. To just be like,
probably like you after Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, it's what? I couldn't have heard you right.
Yeah.
We got bad connection, God. Can you say that again?
That's why he goes up in the tower.
Yeah.
Trying to get a better connection.
And Tim Keller says it this way. He says that Habakkuk functionally is like, God, are you nuts? Because it is just like, I'm crying out to you about injustice and evil, and you're telling me that you are not going to only allow more, but you are orchestrating more of it.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? And I love there's this question that he asks. He says, "Are you not from everlasting?" And in the Hebrew, you really feel this more, but it's this rhetorical question. And right, when you ask rhetorical questions, you're not asking for information. You're making the rhetorical question as an argument and a point. And so it's like Habakkuk saying, I thought you were God. I thought you were faithful. I thought you were somebody. And it's really a jab at God. And also in the next line where he says, my God, my Holy One. It's like that really is the crux of the problem, because Habakkuk knows the character of God. He knows God is holy. He knows God is perfect and hates injustice and hates evil and he says he cannot look at wrongdoing. He's like, I know these things are true about you, and that doesn't line up with what not only do I see, but what you're telling me you're doing. These things don't jive. And so Habakkuk's just at a loss. He's like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. It reminded me of, it's the reverse question of God to Job. As Job's, asking similar questions of God, and God asked Job, well, were you there when the Leviathan, came, it's like, in asking him, your rhetorical questions, essentially making the point, you're so finite, you're so small. And it's like, I almost said Jeremiah, Habakkuk probably knows that story.
Oh yeah.
And so is doing sort of what God did to Job, back to God. He's like, well, have you not always been? That's the point you were making to Job.
Yeah. When it's interesting, I'm glad you brought that up, because God's response is so different to these two different people. To Job, God's like, in chapter 38, he's like, sit down, dress for action like a man. I will answer you. And all he doesn't give him an actual answer. He just says, you're little and I'm big. Like where were you when I laid the foundations of the world? Like, I am the Almighty. Don't question me. Is basically the response. But Habakkuk, it's like, oh yeah, no,
here's the plan.
Here's what I'm gonna do. It's not like, don't question me. It's like, oh yeah, great question. Here's what I'm gonna do. And so it's just interesting. God can choose to respond in different ways to different people at different times.
Yeah. So then how?
And it's interesting too, because it's like, that's what Job needed.
Yeah.
And this is what Habakkuk needed.
Yeah. So then how might we, in a similar way, when we call out to God about something, obviously there's a myriad of different ways this question could be answered, but it's like, how might we see God respond in kind of our wrestling with, the evil of the world or hurt and sin and interpersonal relationships?
Well, it is interesting, just experientially, when you begin to wrestle with, whether it's a theological question, a situation, conflict, whatever you're wrestling with, when you begin to wrestle, not just in the situation, but you go to God and you begin to really wrestle with God. Well, what does that mean? That means you're going to pray a lot. That means you're going to be scouring the Bible. That means you're going to be talking to other people, asking those questions. That means you might pick up some other books to read other people's thoughts about that question. And in the process of doing all of those things, you're going to be hearing from God in His Word, through other people, and just kind of sensing in prayer. And so it's like you're going, and other things just are going to happen. That like God has kind of given you answers through different means in life, and so you'll get it. You'll grow through the experience, because as you're wrestling, that means you're engaging. That means you're gonna be growing through it and getting answers and getting knowledge and wisdom, and you'll come out on the other side going, oh, okay, I'm different now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the things I try to, when I'm talking to someone who's struggling with something, or, it's like doing hey, pray about this, not just because you want God to answer, to fix it. That's good. Like we can want those things, but also you are just going to be shaped. Yeah. You are going to be formed in the process of trying to get to whatever the ending is. Yeah. Right.
I remember, like, for me in college, I began to wrestle with the idea of the sovereignty of God and what that looked like. And I was broken. I mean, I remember laying in my bed thinking, God, if this is who you are, just in this like super sovereign idea, then I don't know who you are. And I mean, it shook me to my core.
Bro needed some John Piper.
I did, dude. I did need some John Piper. This little Armenian kid going to the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. Bad idea. But
great idea.
It was in hindsight, but it rocked me, and I wrestled. But going through that, I mean, I'm talking to professors, I'm talking to other students, I'm reading books, I'm reading the Bible, and it was just like, I'm reading the Bible, I was like, this is everywhere. And I didn't run away by the grace of God only, but grew and changed through that experience. And it was like, oh, well, this was great. Yeah. On the front end, it didn't feel great. But on the back end, it was like, oh, that was a great experience. Yeah. And, I've had that multiple times through different life situations. And so running away feels easy, but it actually leaves you empty. Embracing the wrestling is hard, but it leaves you changed.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You saying that just made me think of this. We've been watching Hard Knocks about the Bills training camp. Yeah. And we were watching practice, and I was like, just amazed at how like sweaty and like sore and all this stuff these guys are after training camp. Because I was like, I remember when I was, playing junior high football or whatever, we're doing up downs the same way. We're running drills the same way they're running them. And I was like, and it was hard. I got lightheaded, and I was like, I was sweating, and I was, it's like, but I wasn't in shape. These guys are in shape. And it's like, you just think about that, how much harder they can work. Yeah. Oh yeah. Than I could, at 13. Yeah. And so to think, when I was watching, I wasn't even thinking about applying it spiritually or whatever, but it's like when you cut out early, when you run away, that's actually just going to make the next thing you have to face that much harder.
Yeah. Our coaches would always say, you're cheating yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. But it's like when you lean in, when you press into the hard thing, and when you wrestle, then you're going to be even more prepared for the next thing. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Yeah. It's like maybe you could be a Buffalo Bill caliber Christian, and you're still at training camp sweating and working and getting sore. Oh yeah. But you're much more prepared than you were as a 13-year-old. Oh yeah. So sorry to Nathan, who didn't want any football talk this week. Impossible. had to throw the Bills in there.
We're too pumped for football.
We're too pumped. So that's what Habakkuk heard. Then that's how he responded. Right? Have we talked about how he responded?
No. So yeah. So Habakkuk responds one more time, and he's basically just like, God, you're nuts, and I'm going to go sit in this tower and await your reply. Like, he kind of gives some argument, like, this doesn't make any sense to me, God. How could you do this kind of thing? And I'm going to go sit in this tower, and I'm going to wait for you to respond better than that. I need a better answer. But again, the point there is he hears a harder truth. And he's still not running away.
Mm.
And I was so reminded in preparing for this of that section in John 6 where Jesus says, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part with me.
Mm.
And all the people who've been following Jesus, they're like, yeah, that's weird. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave. And Jesus looks over at the disciples and he says, are you going to leave too? And Peter, like in very Peter fashion, steps up and says, where else would we go? But you have the words of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just reminded of that. It's like, look, you can either embrace the wrestling and the hard questions with God, or you can run away. But there are no better answers over there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no answers,
mm-hmm.
and the attempts at answers are terrible. There's answers over here. They're just difficult, and they're going to be grueling and hard, and it's going to be gut wrenching. But there are
Mm-hmm.
answers, and there's truth, and there's grace and wisdom. Over here, there's hopelessness.
Yeah.
So you can run away, but to your own peril.
Yeah. Well, it makes me, it's like Peter says, you alone have the words of life.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you alone have the words of life. So that means everyone else, if they have words, they're the words of
death,
not life,
Yeah.
death, And there's been this interview has been in the news about this company that can they do IVF, they can scan your embryos, for all these like genetic predispositions to diseases
Yeah.
and stuff. And like not even like major diseases like that we already have tests for. I mean like minor stuff. And then they can say, so you can choose, the embryo that's least likely to have, a predisposition to all these diseases or whatever. And the way they are like market, it's like you get to choose like your child's healthy future. You get to choose your child's like best life or whatever. And it's like so look, that looks like life.
Yeah.
It's like actually what you're doing is selecting other embryos for death.
Yeah.
And so just like that, even when things look like life,
Have a positive spin.
yeah, it's actually death.
Yeah.
And so and I think the question that they're not willing to answer is suffering part of the human existence?
Mm.
Like, if we could eliminate it, should we?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is no.
Someone else already has.
It
Already
will,
yeah.
right? And so it's like the suffering actually is what leads us to better life, truer life, greater relationship with God, greater relationship with His people.
Yeah.
And so it's like by trying to like bypass and skirt all the suffering, what you're actually doing is you're cheating yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I
count it all joy, my brothers, when you face trials of various kinds.
Exactly. That's why I do love this picture of Habakkuk because he's like, all right, I'm just gonna go wait. Mm-hmm. It's like you're gonna speak to me again, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be ready. Yeah. And I'm gonna be there to contend. Yeah. And when it's not an answer, when it's an answer I don't like, I'm gonna be ready to work through it.
Yep.
And so I think in the same way, like we should not anticipate not having questions, not having suffering, not having hardship. But what we should anticipate is being ready to contend, being ready to learn, being ready to grow.
And it's crazy. I was literally talking to a young man yesterday about this who was kind of at an agnostic place in his life. I don't really believe in this God. I know there's something, but I can't believe it because of all this bad stuff that's happened to me. And my point was to him was, yeah, but there are not better answers over here. Because what the world says is, well, actually evil and suffering doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. It's just a word you have put on something of nature. Mm-hmm. This is just natural. This is just survival of the fittest. This is it's hopeless, meaningless, purposeless. I was like, at least over here they're hard, but they're good answers, and this isn't better. Yeah. So it's like, what are you running away to? You're not running to anything. You're just running away. Yeah. Yeah. Instead of facing it.
For sure. So you're kind of like when you moved on out of like the actual story, the big idea was to grow and deepen our faith, we must wrestle with God through hard things. And so you kind of had three kind of points just that kind of built on that. So first, faithful wrestling means you take your questions and burdens to God. Expand on that. How do we do that? How does Habakkuk do that? How do we do that?
Yeah, it's in prayer. Like we think of prayer a lot of times as asking God for things. And certainly that's part of it, but it's like, you need to pray and be like, read the Psalms. The Psalms inform your prayer life. It's like, God, how could you let this happen? God, why would you do that? Like, God, I don't understand this. Help me. And so it's like just actually a conversation about your fears and your wants and your hurts and your anxieties and your struggles and your sadness. And God, I am just feeling so hopeless right now. Whatever. And it's like, you should be pouring all that stuff out in prayer.
That's so hard for us because we don't live lives where we talk like that. It's like we actually don't even have a muscle in our body that knows how to be so vulnerable and open and honest about what we're feeling. Because we just so much want to keep everything, internal.
Oh yeah.
And so, but there's no safer place to be open and vulnerable and upset even than in prayer.
Yeah.
It's like, so practice it there.
Yeah.
Because then actually, hopefully it spills over
Yeah.
into your other relationships where you can be open and honest and vulnerable with those people around you.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think that's it's just hard for people. And I do think there's this sense where it's like, well, I don't want to bother. Does this rise to the level that I need to bother God with it?
Yeah. He's never a bother.
Yeah. You're never a bother.
You're never
to him.
a bother. Yeah.
Yeah. So Faithful Wrestling, take your questions and burdens, means you're not leaving, but you need an answer. Explain that.
Well, yeah, there's this tension between these two things. We've been talking about like the running away. The other tension is that thought that, well, I can't question God. He's who am I to question God? I can't do that. And so it's like, the answer is neither of those. It's not run away and it's not, don't feel like you can question. So I just got to sit here in the middle and not ask the question and just like, yes, sir. Like the soldier. It's like, no, we can not run away, but we can run toward him with our frustration. It's like, God, I need answers for this. And you might get an answer, or you might get a half answer, or you might get no answer, or the answer be, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
And he proves his trustworthiness. But you'll get going through that process, looking for the answer, will get you to a place of contentment.
Yeah. I love the image you gave. It's like, he's not the drill sergeant. He's not the general. He's not looking for soldiers. He's looking for children. Where it's like, there certainly are times with children, you have to just tell them what to do and they need to do it.
Yeah.
Like right then without question. But there are other times where you are trying to like instruct, like it's more about formation than it is about just like obey. Yeah. It's like, no, creating in them a person, like a whole person.
Yeah.
Right. And so then what God is doing in us is creating in us, molding us into the image of Jesus. And so that, even Jesus, you talked about this, it doesn't just blindly obey all the time.
Yeah. He's got to wrestle.
Yeah. And so it's like, he even takes.
I just thought about this. When you, just from the parent-child relationship, it's like when you have little kids, it's don't ask questions, obey. Stay out of the street or whatever.
Don't stick the paperclip in the
electrical
outlet.
But as they get a little bit older, you begin to let them wrestle with you. And you begin to have these conversations. But then, if that goes well, as they get older, they learn to obey without questioning. Because they're like, oh, well, I know my dad. And I know if he tells me to do this, I've wrestled with him enough. He's right. I'm going to do it.
Or like not even obedience, but just like
trust is what I mean.
Yeah. It's like in a lot of things.
Yeah. I just think like, it's like your kids are grown. They have their own families. And it's like, oh, my dad said we should do this. So
well,
I trust him.
Well, it's like my dad, if something goes wrong in my plumbing in my house, it's like my first call.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he knows about this.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not, and he's not like, all right, Ryan, now do this and do that and do this. I'm like, hey, help me out. Like, show me. And so I think that is a good like marker of maturity in your Christian walk is, are you going to God and receiving? Are you going to his word and receiving his counsel? Or are you just needing to, I just know the rules and I obey them. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, that's a good start, but you want to progress past that. The other thing I thought of in this point on Sunday was the sort of like ex-evangelical, like deconstruction kind of movement.
Oh yeah.
Is that where it starts is questioning, but then when the answers aren't satisfactory, they go away.
Yeah.
It's like, but actually I actually think the term deconstruction has been kind of hijacked, but it's like, I think it's actually good to deconstruct, not to leave, but to reconstruct, right? It's like, if there are probably, you know, you're just talking about going to school, is like when there are things I'm sure that we've constructed in our theology or in our, just our notions of who Jesus is that are wrong.
Oh yeah.
And so to deconstruct those things, then to build better is actually helpful and to seek answers. But I think sometimes we deconstruct and then we're like, I actually like it like this. and then the house collapses and we run away. Yeah. And so I do think there is that tension of like, I want answers. I want to learn. It's like, but I do need to ask questions that like are hard but then know that's like, I'm always going to build back. I'm not going to tear the house down and leave. Yeah. Like, I'm doing this to rebuild, not to demolish.
Yeah. That's good.
So then the last one, faithful wrestling means you won't have all the answers, but you can learn to trust the one that does. Any final words on that?
Yeah, we kind of said that. Yeah. Like, I think through the journey, you do learn the answers are a little bit of the Job thing, right? Like, ooh, God is big. He's wise. And I can't see on the other side of the tunnel, but God can. And he's trustworthy enough that I'll go through the dark tunnel knowing he's got the other side.
Well, also, we can't see forward, but we can see back.
Oh, that's good.
And so like we can look to the scriptures and see how God has been faithful to his people.
And our own
we
lives.
Can look to church history. Yeah, it's like we can look to the history of the church. We can look to people in our church, and then we can look to our own lives. It's like the evidence. We don't need to know the future because we have all the evidence that God is going to be faithful in the past.
Yeah. It's like, I literally saw a reel a minute ago. It was like, hey, if you knew for the past 30 years that it snowed every year in Alaska, what would you bet that it would snow this year in Alaska?
It would be a significant bet.
Yeah. And if you knew for the past 30 years that the Cowboys have not made the Super Bowl, what would you bet this year?
No.
Not made the NFC Championship?
There you go. It's not our year. I was going to say this is our year, but it's not our year.
But if you knew for the past thousands of years the faithfulness of God, he's never failed me yet. Why would he do it now?
Do you think he'll be faithful in this? Yeah, for sure. Any last words on Habakkuk? Nope. Well, thanks for joining us for the recap. We hope this conversation has encouraged you to keep striving to make Jesus essential in every aspect of your life. If you aren't part of our church family, we'd love to meet you on a Sunday morning. We gather for worship at 10:30 a.m. For more information, you can always go to myfellowship.church. Thanks for listening.
Be blessed.